Paramahansa Paribrajachakracharya Ashtotter Shri Srimad Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Nitya Bhagavatam Sevaya Ki Jai Sham Veda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gaura Premanande
Hari Bol.
All glories to assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga.
Hare
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So thank you very much for joining Bhagavad class today, Bhagavatam class. We are reading today Canto 3, Chapter 7, and verse number 6 and 7. So very nice inquiries by Vidurji. So let me recite the verse 3 times and please recite it later on. Text number 6. Bhagavan ek evesha sarvakshetresva avastitah amushya durbhaktvam tvam va durbhaktam va klesho va karma bhi kutah Bhagavan ek evesha sarvakshetresva avastitah amushya durbhaktam va klesho va karma bhi kutah Bhagavan ek evesha sarvakshetresva avastitah amishya durbhagvatam va klesho va karma bhi kutah. Please recite.
Bhagavan eka evesha sarva kshetreshu avishtataha amusha amusha durbhagavatam va klesho va karma bhikuta.
Bhagavan eka evaisha sarvakshetreshu avastitha amushya durbhagatvam va klesho va karma bihi kutha.
Bhagavan Eka Evesha Sarvakshetresva Avastitah Amushya Durbhagatvam Va Kalesho Va Karma Bhi Kuta.
Hare Krishna. Bhagavan Eka Evesha Sarvakshitreshu Avastitah Amushya Durbhagatvam Va Kalesho Va Karmbhi Kuntaha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else?
Bhagavan eka evaisha sarvakshetreshu avastita amushya durbhagatvam va klesho va karma bhikuta.
So let us read word to word translation. Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Ekah, alone, Eva Esha, all these, Sarva, all, Kshetresu, in the living entities, Avastitah, situated, Amusha, of the living entities, Durbhagvatvam, misfortune, Va, either, Klesha, miseries, Va, or Karma Bihi, by activities, Kutaha, what for? So translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Lord is the super soul, is situated in every living being's heart. Why then do the living entities' activity result in misfortune and miseries? Purport. The next question put forward by Vidur to Maitreya is, why are the living entities subjected to so many miseries and misfortunes in spite of Lord's presence in their heart as the super soul? The body is considered a fruitful tree, and the living entities and the Lord as super soul are like two birds seated in that tree. The individual soul is eating the fruit of the tree, but the super soul, the Lord, is witnessing the activities of the other bird. A citizen of the state may be in misery for want of sufficient supervision by the state authority. But how can it be possible that a citizen suffers from other citizens while the chief of the state is personally present? From other point of view, it is understood that the jiva, the living entities, is qualitatively one with the Lord, and thus his knowledge in the pure state of life cannot be covered by nescience, especially in the presence of Supreme Lord. How then does the living entity become subjected to ignorance and covered by the influence of Maya? The Lord is the father and the protector of every living entities. He is known as Bhutabrit, or the maintainer of the living entities. Why then should be living entities be subjected to so many sufferings and misfortunes? It should not be so. But actually, we see that it happens everywhere. This question is therefore put forward by Vidur for solution. Text number 7. Etasminne minme mano vidvan khidyate jnana sankate tannaha parahanuda vibho paschamalam manasam mahat. Translation and purport. O great and learned one, my mind is greatly illusioned by the distress of these nations, and I therefore request you to clear it up. Purport. Such mental bewilderment, as represented here by Vidur, takes place for some living entities, but not for everyone. For if everyone were bewildered, there would be no possibility of a solution by higher personalities. Om Gyantimirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruvai Namaha. Nama Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunnavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine. So we have started this new chapter 7th only a few days ago, and we are on verse number 6 today. So in the last chapter, chapter number 6, what we discussed actually, Vidur and Maitreya, this is the samvada of them. This conversation between Maitreya Muni and Vidurji. And they both are very great devotees of the Lord. And Vidurji is asking all the questions on our behalf, actually. He was great soul, but he's asking so everybody can take advantage of that. So they discussed in last chapter about the universal creation, and also the description actually ended with the universal form of the Lord. And Maitreya Muni explained how the universal form was created and how this creation takes place actually. So we read all those things, and after that Vidurji offers his proper respect to the Supreme Lord, who possesses unlimited qualities and potencies also, because Lord has so many potencies. That's why he runs this material world so smoothly. And now in this chapter, what we are reading about the question answers about the Swara and Jiva and other topics of bhakti. So that's what we are going to read in this 7th chapter. So in this, in the beginning, few verses till the 8th verses, they're all in the form of questions actually, and mainly there are 3 questions. So about Lord and his relations with the material creation. So that those questions about the creation actually, and Vidurji, with so much discussions, actually, he understood, that Lord is the creator of the supreme word, and simultaneously, the same time, he is self-satisfied also, and he is completely detached from this material words Maya Devi. So the Maya doesn't affect him at all. So that's why he really wanted to know that if Lord possesses any desires actually when he's in material world, and are those desires actually motivates him to take care of the interact with this material energy actually, because material energy is so active that material activities affect him at all or not. And also, like we get affected as a living entity, Vidurji wants to know if Lord also gets affected with the material energy, and if he possesses any desires or not. So the first two questions, there are three questions mainly. So first two questions are asked in verse number 2 and 3, and the second question is asked in verse number 4 and 5. So these questions are about the Ishvara actually. And in today's verse 6, we are reading the question about the Jiva souls. So Maitreya Muni will answer these questions in verse 9 and afterwards. So we will get the answers there, but today we are mainly discussing about those questions, why these questions are so pertinent in our life. So question number 1, which we already read, but I will just repeat it, that how the Lord, who is spiritual and transcendental in nature, can be connected to the material gunas, three gunas of material world which affect us. So how he can be affected with them? And how can the Lord, who is unchangeable, sometimes he does activities like we see that it looks like there is change in his activities. So Vidurji was wondering, how Lord is not affected by the material world. And the second question, which we read in fourth and fifth verse, says that if the Lord is fully satisfied without any desire, then what is the need for him to create this universe and by his Maya Shakti and maintain it and destroy it again? So, because this is going on again and again, so why he has to do that? So, this type of questions he is asking. So, before we go to third question, we will like to discuss a little bit about the difference between Jiva soul and super soul, because they both are from the Lord actually, and we should know the difference. What is difference between the Jiva and the super soul actually? Because they both are in the heart of everything. Super soul is Atma and Paramatma. They both are living within our heart, like Krishna says that the Jiva souls are my part and parcel. Mame vansho Jiva loke Jiva bhuta sanatana mana shastrani indriyani prakriti sthani karshati. So these living entities, they are living in this conditioned world. They are my eternal part and parcel. Mama vansho. They are my ansha, fragmental part. But due to conditioning in this material world, by effect of the three gunas, actually, they are struggling very hard in this material world with their six senses. Mana shastrani indriyani. Man is one of the indris, so that's why there are six indris now, including our mind, because mind is really very bad. It takes us here and there, and it goes with so much speed. We continue thinking, and mind gives all the desires, what we should do next, what we should do next. So one desire pops up after other. And there is no end to these desires. And because of the desires, actually, the jiva soul gets so much entangled in these material activities. Otherwise, he is the part of the Krishna. He is the superior energy of the Lord. Thus, the living entities which are part and parcel of Krishna. But there are so many differences between the super soul. They both are living in the heart. So, the Krishna or the super soul is the supreme consciousness. This is one of the difference. While the Jiva souls are tiny conscious beings. So one has the supreme conscious and one is the tiny consciousness. Other difference is there. The Lord Krishna has fully, he is a full will. His will is unlimited. He can will anything. And those all desires are actually fulfilled. Krishna's all desires are fulfilled. Just by desiring, actually, he need not to do anything. Krishna desires something and all his so many energies, they perform that activity immediately. Yeah, there are so many Shaktis of the Lord, and like mainly there are 16 energies of the Lord, and they are all, even Lord need not to do anything, not to tell anybody. Like in this material world, we have to tell somebody to do certain kind of job, okay, bring the water for me or do this for me. So then somebody will do. But Krishna need not to tell anybody. Even just by his desire, these things takes place actually. And our desires, Jiva soul's desires are very unlimited. We have very little freedom, actually, free will. And those desires are very rarely actually fulfilled. Our desires never get fulfilled. And even it gets fulfilled very in little quantity and many times not actually. And Krishna, our super soul, actually knows everyone's desire, what everybody is desiring, and satisfies them according to their activities, actually, their karmas and their prarabdha and everything. So Krishna knows everyone's desire. And what we know as a jiva, we know only on our desires. And those desires are also very selfish. So that's a very big difference, actually, that Krishna knows about every jiva soul. And we know only about us. And Krishna thinks about everyone, all the jiva, that what is good for him. But what we think, we are so selfish, we only think about us. We are hardly think about anybody else. So these are the main difference. And that's why Katha Upanishad said, Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadhatu Kaman. So says that Krishna is prime eternal. We all are eternal, actually. Jiva souls are also eternal. But we got so much entangled with this material three gunas and in this material world, that we don't think that we are eternal. Actually, that's why all the problems comes. If we think we are eternal part and parcel of Krishna and act according to Krishna's will, we will not have any problem at all. So Krishna is the supreme living entities of the all living entities. Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam. So, and he alone is maintaining life of every jiva souls. So he is giving us all our needful things. Actually, whatever we need is all supplied by Krishna. So we should not ever think that Krishna is not fulfilling our desires. He does so much for us, but actually we don't deserve those things. That's why Krishna doesn't give it. So in Bhagavatam also, there are so many nice verses. So I will read only one verse. It says, Bhumo nalo Bhumo apo nalo vayu mano buddhir evacha ahankara iti yamme binna prakriti rashtadha. So Krishna is saying here that these five main elements, earth, water, fire, ether, and mind, and then the three, intelligence and mind and false ego. So these are the eight together. They are my separate material energies. So actually, these things get from the material energy. And then Krishna is saying in the next shloka that beside this energy, then there is another superior energy of mind, which is comprises of the all living entities. So actually, jiva souls are also superior energy of the Lord. But the living entities are exploiting the resources of this material world. So that's a very bad thing that what the Jiva souls are doing. And that's why they go to, they are called as Tatastha Shakti in between. So the Jiva souls are actually entangled so much. That's why they come in the category of Tatastha Shakti. But actually, they are the superior energy of the Lord, because there are only two energies of the Lord, superior and inferior. This material energy, all everything in this material world is all inferior energy of the Lord. The supreme, the spiritual world is from the superior energy of the Lord. And all the created beings are in these two natures, superior nature and the inferior nature. So the material and all other, so of all that is material and all that is spiritual in this world. And so Krishna is in charge of both. I am the both origin of that, and also I am the dissolution of them. Krishna actually originates them, creates them, and then finishes them, dissolves them. So this is the way this whole Prakriti runs. So if we see Bhagavad Gita actually study properly, then we will know about these energies in great detail and how they remain under control of the Lord. So Prabhupada is giving, and the Lord doesn't get, because this was the question, that how the Lord doesn't get affected by the, when he's in material world, he's with the soul, Jiva soul. So in answer, later on we will read that like Prabhupada gives example that like in the prison, when the king goes there, he's not affected by any laws of the king. He need not to follow. Some prisoner may think that this king is a prisoner also. He's in prison house, but he comes by his own will, and this prison is running under his power. So he's not under any rules or regulations of that prison. So similarly, Lord, even though he comes here, and actually this material world is a prison house for all the Jiva souls, actually, because we wanted to enjoy separately from Krishna, and Krishna sent us, So this is a reformatory process for us, so we can think about the Lord more and more and go back to him. So Krishna is giving us chance in this material world that how we can go back to our spiritual world. So in the purport of text 9, we will read that how Lord is free from the influence of his own material energy. So Lord is free by different things because he doesn't get involved in many, many things. And Prabhupada is also describing here the effect of material nature on the Jiva souls, and how all the Jivas are part and parcel of Krishna. Krishna actually in Bhagavad Gita explained it very, very nicely. So these conditioned living entities, the Jiva souls, actually get bewildered by the illusory energy of the Supreme Lord. But Krishna doesn't get bewildered with these things because he makes the material energy. So how he can come under the influence of these things? He will not. And why the Jiva soul gets bewildered by this? Because, we forget our forgetfulness of our spiritual identity. So this is the main reason actually that we forget about Krishna, and that we are part and parcel of Krishna. We forget that thing, and then we start doing so many material things and in this life, and then those activity actually puts us that we take birth and death, life after life, we go on, and we are taking so many births, like life after life, millions and millions of births we have taken so far, and I do not know how long we will take birth until unless we come to full shelter of Krishna, realize that Krishna is everything, and that this material world is just for my punishment, and I can go back to Krishna once we have that faith that Krishna will do best for me and serve him nicely through our spiritual master. Then, of course, we have chance to go back to Krishna very soon. But although Krishna is the controller, and soul is also can be controller, but we are conditioned souls, so we cannot be controller. And when we misuse our God-gifted minute freedom, then what happens? Then those conditional souls gets subjected to repeated birth and death. So in the second question, what happens? This ask that the living entities who are spiritual by nature and they are pure also becomes covered by ignorance. Why the ignorance comes in our life? This is very intelligent question actually. That why we get affected by the ignorance actually, because ignorance, like Prabhupada writes on the front page of that ignorance is the darkness actually, and the sun or the Krishna consciousness is the light. So when there is sun, then there is no darkness. Similarly, when we get the proper knowledge of Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, then we will not have any ignorance. So our ignorance can be completely destroyed by the task life of knowledge, which is given by our spiritual master. So how can an eternal soul become contaminated? That's also another intelligent question. So it gets contaminated by the ignorance, of course, and then he loses his spiritual identity. And he thinks, that he is part of this material world, and he does a lot of activities, which are completely material. And in today's question number 3, today's verse, which says about the relationship between the living entity and the super soul. So here we can see that Vidurji is asking the question that how, when we are so close, like right in the same heart, same place, within few millimeter distance, the soul and super soul both are living at the same place. So how in the presence of the Lord in our heart, how our activities can continuously results in so much misfortune and so much miseries. So this is the question which is put forward by Vidurji in this shloka. So let me read one more time the translation. Bhagwan ek evesha sarvakshetresh swavastitah amushyatur bhagavatam va klesho va karma vihi kutah. So the Lord as the super soul is situated in every living being's heart. Why then do the living entities' activity results in misfortune and misery? So here Prabhupada very beautifully explains in the first few lines. The next question put forward by Vidur is to Maitreya is, why are the living entities subjected to so many miseries and misfortunes in spite of the Lord's presence in their heart as the super soul? So Krishna, Vidurji is asking here that why Lord, why the Jiva soul who is with the super soul, why he is getting so many things, like in Bhagavad Gita we read the shloka that Hardeshe Arjuna Tishtati. So in our heart, the Krishna is present in the he is present in the form of super soul actually. So he is situated as a Paramatma. So when Atma and Paramatma are there together, so why we should not have any misfortune? Because in presence of the God, misfortune should not come. But here we are seeing in this material world all those misfortunes continuously, because in this material world, the happiness is hardly 10%. 90% are all the miseries actually, so many miseries. So here we can see Vidurji is asking so nice and so logical question about our Atma and Paramatma. And we have read the words, why Prabhupada is writing later on here that the body is considered a fruitful tree, and the living entities and the Lord as a super soul are like two birds seated on the tree. The individual soul is eating the fruit of the tree, but the super soul, the Lord, is witnessing the activities of the other bird. So this is from the shloka from Bhagavad Gita, 13th 23. Upadrashta anumanta cha bhokta bharta bhokta maheshwarah parmatmeti chapyukto tehinasmin purushah para. So there is Krishna is saying here that yet in the body of the Jiva souls, there is another transcendental enjoyer. He is a transcendental enjoyer. We are not transcendental enjoyer. Actually, we suffer so much here. Who is the Lord? Who is the supreme proprietor? Who exists, but he doesn't try to enjoy like the Jiva souls, like a soul. He just watches. He is only the Upadrashta. He is overseer and he is Anumanta. He is the permitter. He permits all our activities. Without Lord's permission, we cannot do anything actually in this material world. That's our position. Every small activity what we do is permitted by the Lord. Then only we can perform those activities. Because some Prabhupada is writing in that verse purport that the monastic philosophers actually they think that we are the knower of the body. So as a knower of the body, there is no difference between soul and super soul, because Krishna is also knower of the body and we are also knower of the body. But they don't consider that Krishna is the knower of the body for everybody, all living souls, and we are knower of our own body only, not with everybody. So that's why they confused with this thing, and they think that soul and super soul is equal. But Krishna is saying here very clearly, he's saying that he is represented as Paramatma, not as a Jiva soul. And there is a clear difference between Atma and the Paramatma. That one we should actually know that Atma is very different than the Paramatma. So in the purport, Prabhupada is saying here that actually Jiva soul is trying to enjoy. He wants to eat the fruits of the tree. But the super soul is just quietly, he's very quiet. He doesn't say anything. He's just watching. He's overseeing this, and if the Jiva soul deserve it, then he will permit it to do that. So that is our position actually. So Prabhupada in this purport is writing, a citizen of the state may be in miseries for want of sufficient supervision by the state authority. So a citizen, he may be in misery because there is no proper supervision. If the laws are not that strong, or police doesn't come right away and somebody is bothering us, so that is possible. But he's saying that, but how it should be happening if the citizen is suffering when the chief of the state is right there? So how it is possible? If he is present there, it should not happen. Similarly, soul and super soul in the form of Paramatma is sitting right in our body. So why these things happens? And in the hospital also many people ask doctors, what he did wrong, like some child is born, suppose with the AIDS, or sometimes they get herpes herpetic conjunctivitis, so they almost get blinded with that. So many people cry and they ask, why Lord is doing these activities for like that. And so that's a very important question because people don't consider the karma factor there, that he must have done something, and you cannot tell anybody actually. If you see that, if you tell somebody, oh, this is his karma, it looks so bad at that time. So we cannot tell that okay, this was his karma, that's why he was born and he died right away. Nobody can say like that. But this question, what Vidurji is explaining here, that when the state authority is right there, then why citizen can suffer like that? So Prabhupada is writing here from another point of view. It is understood that the Jiva living entities is qualitatively one with the Lord. He's only qualitative, not quantitatively. Because like seawater, one drop of seawater has all the quality of the whole seawater. But in quantity, we are only one drop, and Krishna is whole ocean. So we can imagine like that. So living entity is qualitatively one with the Lord, and thus his knowledge in the pure state of the life cannot be covered by any sense. So if we live in the pure state of mind, like if you live in the like a sattva guna or vishuddha sattva, then this material world or this Maya Devi will not affect us. But if we are in the mode of passion, mode of tamasi gun, ignorance, then these things actually Maya Devi's effect will be of course there. So that's what Prabhupada is explaining here very clearly, that because we are covered by any sense, because we are under the influence of those three gunas, we have to transcend ourselves from those three gunas. We have to elevate us, and then it will be very good for us. How? That's why question is there. How then does the living entity become subjected to ignorance and covered by the influence of Maya? So Maya Devi actually affects everyone in this material world, and depends, how we take the spiritual life. And if our life is spiritually, we are following the principles and listening our guru, and we are in proper parampara, then of course these material effects will be less and less on us. But otherwise, they will of course bother us. The Lord is the father and protector of every living entity, and he knows, and he is known as Bhutabhrat, or the maintainer of the living entities, because all the jiva souls are maintained by Krishna. But sometimes we see that we do activities which actually sometimes we even do not think that why we do that. Like we don't want to get things done like that, but still we get like impulse to do it. So how we are impelled to do this activity? So for that, Krishna is saying that, oh descendant of Rashni, by what one is impelled to sinful acts, even unwillingly. So many times, we don't want, like somebody doesn't want to go for killing somebody else, but sometimes, his impulse comes so badly that he just kills them, like in anger or something. So why? It looks like there is some force, which is pushing. So what is that force? So Arjuna was asking to Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, and Krishna says that the living entities actually are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. They should not do this kind of activity. They are not contaminated actually. They are originally very pure and spiritual, and they are free from all the material contamination. But what happens? By nature, he should not be subjected to these material sufferings or material sins of this material world. But when this Jivatma comes in contact with the material nature, he starts acting in a sinful way without any hesitation. So that is the problem actually. So these gunas actually cover us. They gives us all the ignorance from that. So Arjuna question was very nice actually, that why we do by force, it looks like we are doing engaged by force, but why we have to do that? And many, many times it is against our will, still we do it. So although the living entity does not want to do the sin, but he is forced to do that. So this sinful act, Krishna is explaining that they are not done by the super soul. Super soul is not telling him to do that, but still he does it. So why he does it? So Krishna explains that in the next verse. He says, Kama esha, krodesha, rajoguna samadbhava, mahashano, papatma, vidvena mahi vairina. So he's saying that it is lust only, Arjuna, that which is impelling to do this kind of activity. Because when the lust is not fulfilled, then it converts to the krodha, kama, krodha. So and then there are different kam, krodha, lobh, moha, mad, matsya. They all come one after other. So this is actually devouring any sinful enemy of this world. So this calm actually is our desires. They are bad. And we have to, how we can control the karma. Karma we can control by continuous practicing Krishna consciousness and with very strong desire to calm it down. Then actually it can be fulfilled like that, that we will not be under effect of this karma. Because if the karma is not fulfilled, then krodha comes. And then things gets much more worse, because in krodha, sometimes we don't even think, what we are doing. And we do many, many things in krodha. So we should not do. And sometimes even we become devotee. Many, many good devotees actually we have seen. They also involve in the material world, activities of this material world actually we see, and they almost forget about what is their transcendental duties. So, like, let me give you an example that sometimes, like little child, is watching TV, sitting on the couch, watching TV with his mom. And sometimes he gets so much mesmerized watching the TV that he doesn't know actually what he's doing, if his mom is still there or not. And sometimes mom is feeding him, and we can see many little children, mom is feeding them while eating, and they keep eating, they keep eating. And sometimes mom goes away and the food is in their mouth, and we come after half an hour and still he's not chewing the food. The food is still there, he gets so much mesmerized watching TV, so much into TV. So the similar situation is for us also, that in this material world, we do some material activity, but then we get so much involved in this material activity that we even do not know what we are doing. Even we get initiation, everything is still. So that's why we all are struggling so hard in this material world from all these senses actually. So this is done by our avidya shakti actually, and ignorance. So avidya shakti or ignorance is the responsible thing for doing this, getting all our miseries, not the super soul. Super soul has given us free will, and we can use our will in proper way rather than going other way. So as the jivas are part and parcel of Krishna, like Krishna says, Mame Vansho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. So we are actually part of the supreme energy of the Lord, but we are struggling because of the three modes of material nature. And we forgot about it, that we are part and parcel of Krishna. And we are getting contamination from this world. And slowly, we are taking our face away from Krishna. And that's why all the sufferings are coming to us actually. Otherwise, there is no suffering like that. So all the sufferings, all the miseries, all the misfortunes are coming in the jiva's life just by forgetting Krishna. So once, if we remember Krishna, then it will not happen. So this answers after the ninth verse. We clarify these questions very nicely. Prabhupada explained them very nicely in next many shlokas, and we will read them. So we can see that how Vidurji is asking so logic question about that how the cosmic manifestation takes place through the agency of Brahma and demigods, and this material world actually, like we read, discussed, that maintained and controlled by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's what he said, Maya Dakshina Prakriti, Svechesa Charachara. So Krishna is maintaining us. He is giving us everything what we need. So we can see even in this material world that if we call 911 and a police comes right away, they try to protect us. Sometimes there is fire in the house and we call the fire brigade and everything, and they come right away. They try to extinguish the fire. So similarly, Vidurji is asking, thinking, why the Lord is present here and we are calling him, still we get so much misfortune. So what is the reason? Actually, reason are our karma and our prarabdha from the last life, which is going on for a long time, many, many millions and millions of birth. And we are in the cycle of birth and death. And we can only get free from this birth and cycle of birth and death only by performing bhakti, tivrena bhakti yogena. If we do bhakti properly, then definitely we can get out of this material world. So there are, of course, ways we can get out of this material world. While Advaitacharya in Chaitanya Charitamrita described that Advaitacharya, while reading the Shastra, many times he cannot understand what Krishna means, what is the true meaning of the Shastras. At that time, he will pray very loudly to the Lord that please explain me. And the Lord still will not reveal. And then what happens? That he will go on the fast, that I will die rather than if the Krishna comes and explain me these things. So he was going on fast, then Krishna will become, he's so merciful to his devotees, then he will tell him the proper meaning. So this he's giving us the example actually, how we should actually try to understand. And many times we read Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, but if we don't read properly or under the direction of Guru and Vaishnavas, then we may not sometime understand it properly. So that's why we should get the help of our Guru and Vaishnavas and see if we can understand that thing properly. And once we follow that method, then there will be no problem. So we can see the example of Pandavas also. They were able to understand because they were great devotees of the Lord. But they, like Queen Kunti, all the time wanted sufferings, because in the suffering she can remember more to Krishna. So whatever, even the suffering comes in our life, we should not forget the Supreme Lord and try to be under his protection, because there are so many, we see the suffering, suffering will still come. We cannot say that why I'm suffering. And many people think, that, oh, I'm the devotee for so many years, still I'm suffering. And this suffering will be there, what? Because of our previous karmas, actually. Our prarabdha is written in our prarabdha, and it will happen. But we should not get discouraged by that and continue our bhakti. The misfortune will go away. It will take its own course and will go away. It will not stay forever, because good things comes and bad things comes. They come in the cycle. So in the time of misfortune, actually, we should not worry like that. Many atheistic people say that the God is watching all these things in this material world. I don't like this kind of God, He's watching it and not doing anything. People are suffering so much. And they are, although when they say, they are saying that I want to enjoy in this material world, but we can see their teeth are falling, they're getting wrinkles on the face, their knees are given up, their hair are getting all white, but still they are suffering that I'm enjoying this material world. And they think that I'm the controller of time. And we can see that they are dying and they are saying I'm controller. And there are many people, atheistic people, say this is my Leela, they want to be God themselves, so they are saying that they're Leela. About the suffering, we can see how Prabhupada has so much suffering in his last few days. We have seen, most of us have seen that video, and we see, how he was suffering. But this suffering comes in our life. We should not get discouraged. I will give you a little story before I end about Madhav Das Babaji. He was the Gaudiya Vaishnava, and he was very pure bhakta. But one time when he got very bad diarrhea, it was not stopping at all. And his devotees were helping him, but they are also, and diarrhea went for a long time, month and a half. And Madhav Baba was going every 5 minutes like that. So they had to change all the cloth and everything and clean and everything. So they got so tired. One time, they went for eating, and Madhav Baba needed help at that time. So actually, Krishna came himself, and he cleaned him and put the new cloth and everything. And he was keep doing and Krishna puts his devotees because they were so tired to sleep, and Krishna was helping him whole day like that. And then Madhavdas Babaji was thinking, who is this person? He looks so beautiful because Krishna is the most beautiful person. We cannot compare his beauty. His beauty is compared by, you can take all the heroines of this world and all the bodybuilders, all the people, models, everything, and multiply by millions and millions of time. It's much more than that. Krishna is beautiful. So he can understand that this person is so beautiful, this, and he's helping so nicely, his hand. He was getting so much, enjoyment when Krishna was touching him, So he was thinking he may not be other than Krishna. So he hold his hand and he said, please tell me, who are you? And Krishna revealed, that I'm Krishna. So he said that why you have to do this kind of menial service for me? Why don't you take away my diarrhea? So Krishna says that I cannot do that because I made the rule myself that you will get diarrhea. So how I can take it out? So I cannot change the this destiny or whatever, but that's what I'm helping you, so my own rules and regulations, I cannot. So that's why sometimes even the great devotee will suffer, and we all are suffering. So we should not think anything ill of Krishna, that why Krishna is not doing some things, for me, which I deserve. Actually, we don't deserve anything. It's Krishna's mercy that what we are getting everything in this material world. If Krishna stops giving us oxygen or water or anything, how we will survive? We cannot survive even for a minute or two. So that is our condition actually. We are fully dependent on Krishna, and we should actually accept that and take his shelter properly. So there is still few minutes, so we can discuss if there is any comments or questions. Thank you very much for listening and blessing me and giving me this chance so that I can purify myself. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Anybody say any questions, comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
It's very nice, Prabhu. I was actually laughing when, like, you were saying something like about this person who was who have diarrhea, right? And Krishna was helping, but he was not taking away the diarrhea. It was really nice, Prabhu. And also you said about the when mama's feeding kids and they are so attached to watching TV and they forgot even their mom is there or not. That was really nice.
Yeah.
And also you first time, like when you said like Bidura had the question, like he said Krishna is self-satisfied, then why he need to create these universes and all the living entities? That question always I also ask, and wondering why
The
Krishna.
question is like in second question in the fourth and fifth verse, if you read it properly, try to understand that kind of question, that why Krishna has to create, because he created this material world for us because we wanted to enjoy. Actually, Krishna doesn't need this. If we all are good persons, if we don't desire anything like that, that I want to enjoy separately from Krishna, then Krishna doesn't need actually this material world. He did it for us. We are the reason, not Krishna. So we are the cause of that, not the Krishna himself, He made this small world, and this world is very small actually, 1/3. The spiritual world is much more bigger. So we can imagine, that we are very few people, which want to enjoy separately from Krishna. If we enjoy from Krishna, if we enjoy with Krishna, then there is no problem at all.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu, we human beings, we have too many desires. We have small house, we need a big palace. We have small alone, we need a family. So all these desires we do have, and more they increase, but they don't. Once we get one desire, we'll have another one.
Yeah.
So that is unlimited, I think. And Krishna, he doesn't have any desires. He wants us to. He gave us everything, and we should be happy with that, whatever we have in this life.
Yeah.
And like you said, our karma also, it needs to, whatever past we did, we have to pay for it. That's all. But that realization is very hard with human beings.
Yeah, especially Mother Sangeeta is going to have a seminar on that, how we can deal with this. Many people, when I was in the hospital also, many people were asking me that what happened actually, why Lord is so like merciless, that's what
That's
people
true.
think, So yeah, this is a very important question, and everybody should think about what is the proper answer.
And I always feel that when something good happens, we never thank God.
Yeah.
And when something bad happens, why God is doing to me this?
Yeah.
So poor God, he's not answering anything. We need to realize that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of things are there, Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you very much for a nice class.
Haribol Prabhu, thank you for the nice class. About the story of the Madhava Das? Is that where did you read it?
Babaji. I read in the Gaudiya Sense. There is a small book, that one. Yeah. And I have heard also from many ISKCON gurus about Madhavadas Babaji. Very famous Babaji. And very, very pure. That's why Krishna came, Krishna will not come for any material chief like that,
Yeah.
One has to be so elevated for Krishna to come and help him, and so many service to do so. He must have a lot of love for Krishna. Then only this is possible. Yeah.
Yeah. That's very nice. Krishna is so merciful, Somebody love him a little bit, he just go after his way, come and always be there for the devotees.
Yeah.
So one lesson we can learn, we have to learn how to love Krishna.
Yeah, we have to love Krishna, and we have to have full faith also that Krishna will really.
Faith is the main thing.
Yeah, will come and help, If we have full faith in Krishna, then we will not do bad things, or we will not go towards them, that Krishna is everything, let me just do my work and let Krishna. We should not desire anything. Whatever Krishna gives, we should just accept that, take it, be satisfied with that, rather than why this guy got too much money and why I didn't get it, like that, we should never think like that. And that is our disease, actually, we are all deceived in this material world. Thank you, Mataji. Anyone else has any question? We can wind up today's session. No one is there, then let's close it. But today, Pancha Kalpatarubhyasya Prabhasindubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Kaivalya Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah, very nice class. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Prabhu.